Every day you are presented with choices. What to eat, what to buy, who to trust. You believe these choices are your own, born from careful consideration and free will. But what if I told you that most of your decisions, especially the critical ones, are not truly yours? They are carefully constructed illusions designed by masters of dark psychology to guide you down a predetermined path without you ever realizing the hand that steers. Today we will tear back the veil. We will expose the three most potent psychological tactics used to manipulate your decision-making, transforming your free choice into a meticulously managed outcome. This isn't about outright coercion. It's far more insidious. It's about engineering your environment, your options, and even your thoughts so that you choose what they want you to choose. Prepare to see the strings you never knew existed and learn how to finally cut them. The first and most common illusion is the false dilemma, often presented as, you can either do X or suffer Y consequence. This is the psychological tactic of constrained framing. It works by limiting your perception of available options to just two, both of which serve the manipulator's agenda, or one of which is clearly undesirable. The trick is that there are always more options than what is presented. By presenting a limited, skewed choice, the manipulator creates an immediate pressure to select one of their pre-approved paths, rather than exploring alternative solutions or rejecting the premise entirely. Your mind, seeking resolution, is forced to operate within their narrow framework. The psychological pressure here stems from the fear of the unknown or the need for immediate resolution. You are rushed to pick a lesser evil because the unstated third option, thinking outside their box, is implicitly removed. The instant counter must be an expansion of options. You refuse their limited framework and open the mental space for true choice. The counter is, those aren't my only two options. Let's consider alternatives, or I will create my own. This instantly breaks their control by challenging the very foundation of their manipulative choice. Next, we uncover a subtle art of influence often found in pricing, political debates, and even dating. The decoy effect. This is when a third, less attractive or strategically flawed option is introduced solely to make one of the other options seem vastly superior. This is the dark persuasion technique of asymmetric dominance. Imagine three choices: A, B, and C. A is clearly better than B, but then a decoy option C is introduced that is slightly worse than A in almost every way, and only marginally better than B in one specific, less important aspect. Suddenly, A looks even more attractive compared to both B and C, making it the overwhelming best choice. You're not choosing A because it's inherently the best, but because it's been artificially amplified by the presence of a strategically weaker, almost similar alternative. The emotional hook here is the desire for certainty and the illusion of rationality. You believe you are making a fully rational choice because one option stands out, when in reality, your decision has been nudged. The instant counter requires isolating and comparing only the core options. Remove the noise. The counter is, let's remove the distraction of decoy option C and compare only option A and option B on their individual merits for my needs. By consciously excluding the irrelevant decoy, you force a reevaluation of the genuine alternatives and make an uninfluenced decision. Our third manipulation tactic is far more subtle, operating beneath the surface of conscious thought. Priming and anchoring. This is when seemingly irrelevant information, presented earlier, subtly influences your perception or decision about something later. This is the psychological strategy of subconscious preloading. For instance, if you're shown a high arbitrary number before being asked to estimate the cost of an item, your estimate will likely be higher. Or if you're exposed to words like power or achievement, you might subsequently make more competitive decisions. Priming uses cues, words, images, even sounds to activate specific concepts in your mind, preparing you to interpret new information or make choices in a particular direction. Anchoring sets a reference point, influencing subsequent judgments. You believe you're assessing something objectively, but your initial perception has been subtly skewed. The psychological consequence is unconscious bias and controlled perception. Your mental landscape has been subtly reshaped before the decision is even presented. The instant counter must be a conscious reset of perspective. You need to actively question the origins of your initial assessment. The counter is, let me disregard any previous numbers or information I just heard and reevaluate this from a fresh perspective. If you're aware of a potential prime, question its relevance directly. Is there a reason that previous irrelevant info was mentioned right before this decision? By consciously attempting to neutralize the anchor or prime, you reclaim control over your starting point. This insidious tactic uses the perceived power of others to override your own judgment. Experts agree. Our studies show. This is the manipulation through appeal to false authority, while legitimate appeals to experts are valid. This tactic uses vague, unnamed, or even fabricated authorities to bypass your critical thinking. By invoking experts or studies, the manipulator aims to shut down your questions and objections, making you feel intellectually inferior or out of step. The unstated message is, don't question us, the smart people already figured it out. This leads you to accept their claims or follow their recommendations without proper scrutiny, simply because a perceived authority endorses it. The emotional triggers are the fear of being wrong and the desire for credibility. You are pressured to defer to an unverified external source rather than trust your own reasoning. The instant counter is a demand for specific evidence. You refuse to accept vague claims of authority. The counter is, which specific experts? Can you share the studies? I need to review the evidence myself. This forces them to either produce verifiable sources or expose the emptiness of their appeal. True authority welcomes scrutiny. False authority collapses under it. Every day, forces unseen attempt to nudge you, guide you, and ultimately control your choices. But now you are armed. You understand the false dilemma, the decoy effect, priming, and the authority fallacy. You know that true freedom of choice begins with recognizing when your options are being managed. Do not surrender your free will to subtle psychological tricks. Question every premise, examine every option, and trust your own judgment. If this revelation has sharpened your mind, like this video to anchor this knowledge within you. Subscribe and activate the notification bell to ensure you never miss our next deep dive into the hidden forces that shape human behavior. Stay vigilant, stay free,